Live number 2. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign the GNG129 Cash App, stickers and chats always welcome during the live stream. We're going to hear from the Proudfoots their original interview, and then we're going to compare it to the Wells, the bio donors of Summer Wells. Both these cases are very eerily similar, in my opinion, due to the fact that each father figure or role model, or however you want to word it, reported the child missing, but they were not present at the time that the child went missing. And I find that very bizarre and suspect as well. A lot has been going on in the Proudfoot case, Sebastian Rogers case. Parents have been a no-show. Seth has been the only one out looking for the child, searching for the child. They have been on the ground searching. There are divers out. They had a vigil here recently, the weekend. And the grandmother spoke out, Seth's mother. Basically, she said, if you're here to make money, we don't need you here. Don't want you here. I have that information in the queue. Let's get started with this information, everybody. This is the original interview by the Proudfoots. Thank you for joining me.
For allowing me to come into your home to talk with you all. Obviously, everyone wants to hear what you have to say. And it's all about bringing Sebastian home and safely. So first, just express, I can't even imagine as a parent what you two are. How would you describe the situation right now? How are you coping?
We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never-ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop. It won't stop until he walks through the door.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Not anyone. I know we're about keeping hope alive. I'm sure that's in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's gotta come home.
Thank you, sweetie.
He's going to walk through that door. And the street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to fucking love him. And
that boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home. So here we are, 8 days now searching for him. Walk us through that Sunday night that he went missing. So walk us through, we've got so many people who really want to know, okay, how did this happen? So kind of just walk us through that night.
We were out and about that day. We were having a really good weekend. We got home. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, "Good night, Mom, I love you." Say goodnight to his puppies. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
So in your mind, that's usually around what time? So when do you normally wake up? Around 6 o'clock?
6.
So were you instantly thinking something's wrong, or were you like, he may just be already in the shower, in the living room?
I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, "I can't find him." He said, "What do you mean you can't find him?" I said, "He's not in the house."
And so at that point, is that when you call 911, or what's going through your mind?
While we were on the phone, and I was like, is he on the other side of the bed? The normal places he may be in the house, he wasn't. So I was like, okay, well, hold on a minute. And immediately after that, we called the sheriff's department and made the report.
I ran all over the house, outside, inside. I looked in every closet.
Within minutes, they were here. They responded within minutes, and here we go.
So you said you were on the phone with her, so you were not home.
No, I was at work. I'm a tower crane operator, and I was working in Memphis at the St. Jude project. So it's, you know, I have an earpiece in that talks to my phone. I have another earpiece in that does the radios. So when she was talking to me, I was like, what? I was confused. We talked about where he could possibly be, and then we went from there and led to calling the cops, and here we are now.
And within minutes, there you're at the home.
Yes, ma'am.
It was rapid fire. They had cars.
They
They
lied
had cars from here down to
to the main
the
road.
road, as far as I could tell.
So what's going through both of your minds? I mean, are we panicking? Is it this, oh, I think he's probably at a neighbor's house, or what are you thinking?
My son doesn't run. He's not a runner. He's never run away before. I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
I mean, he's a good kid. He's not a mischievous child by any means. But there's answers to questions that have no answers, you know, or questions with no answers right now that we are searching for desperately, and we just don't have that.
Is there anything that happened that day that you think back and there might have been a reason he was possibly upset, or something outside that could have enticed him to go outside? Was there anything that came to mind?
We've been combing over that day and even the weeks before he left, and I haven't been able to figure it out. He's that morning he was laughing, he was joking. Everyone we were around that day agreed that he seemed like he was in a good mood. He was behaving. It'd make more sense if we'd been fighting.
Or he'd been in trouble, but he hasn't been in trouble. So, I mean, the $1 million question, why did he go? And the other $1 million question is how.
What about social media? Was there anything that, you know, anyone he could have contacted? I understand he was somewhat of a gamer, or what was he? There was a video game he loved, right?
Minecraft. He loves Minecraft. The game that he has is not online. He has
Or the other way around.
Switch.
We don't, because of how social media can be, he doesn't have accessibility to communicate with folks on the internet. I mean, we have a firm belief that we just don't feel it right now that he's capable of having that kind of responsibility. So, I mean, his phone is locked down, his computer, his game. He doesn't have a gamer tag. He doesn't have online capabilities with games. I mean,
We've combed every electronic. I
mean, we've cooperated with all the authorities as far as anything they've asked us to provide, we've provided, and still just don't have any answers.
Did he have any friends that could have possibly contacted him in some way on his phone?
All his friends at school have been questioned to my knowledge, and none of them knew anything.
So this big question mark. He's vanished. No one can figure out where or why. All right. So let's talk too about the relationship involved, because the biological father is very much involved in Sebastian's life as well.
Yes, ma'am, very much.
Right? And how would you describe that relationship, the two of them and the four of you?
It's relatively good. I mean, we talk regularly. He talks to his son on a regular basis, sees him on a regular basis. He's involved in school and therapy, and I mean, he doesn't have any extracurricular activities, but I can tell you now, if he did, his dad would be in the front row.
Well, you hear that therapy was mentioned.
I mean, two different households, and the communication between the three of us is great. I mean, yes, we're just like every parent. We all have our disagreements, but in the end, we come together as a team and we work and we come up with solutions.
So it was great.
Best see fit.
Come together.
I'm almost in contact with him almost daily.
So now what? What happened?
Let's talk about Sebastian. Tell me about Sebastian. How would you describe him?
Sweet, stubborn. He loves to help. He loves running, and he loves to play his games and his fidgets and Uno. Lord, that's one of his favorite games right now. Favorite color is green.
Does he love music?
Oh God, he loves music.
An eclectic taste.
I
An
mean,
eclectic. I mean, from, as everybody knows, Eye of the Tiger to Eddie Vedder.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So we got Pearl Jam on one hand, we've got Survivor on the other over here, we've got Taylor Swift. And,
He's got a big crush on her.
Exactly, Tammy. Exactly.
I mean, country, rock.
classic. We don't allow the hip hop.
Well, he doesn't really
Well, I
get
say
into it
rap
anyways.
things.
You mentioned he loved running. So, did he love the outdoors at all? Would something outside that was somewhat outdoorsy be enticing to him or pull him outdoors?
He loves, like, when we were in California and the school had this lap thing to gain money. It was a fundraiser. And every year I did this many laps. I mean, I've got t-shirts where they would write on his back. Every time the kids went around, they'd mark a mark on the back and they'd keep running. He just had marks all the way across his back. He likes playgrounds. He hates being dirty. He don't like being dirty.
Yeah, he's not your tomboy style child where he goes outside and plays in the mud.
He loves animals, but he's cats.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even a fly, and he's like, oh!
And let's talk too, because he's highly functioning. Described him as having a form of autism.
He does.
But describe that to our viewers too, as far as his way of thinking of things and maybe how determined he was about things or his mindset.
He's got a stubborn mindset. If he believes it's this,
He gets on a one-man track, and he is just on it, and he is all about it.
but I mean, he's very smart. I mean,
Could that have annoyed them? This one track mindset.
Wow. He loves playing games.
What about navigation? Like, did he have a sense of direction? Do you think he could have possibly even hitched a ride or gotten a ride on a bus or some sort of transportation?
That is a speculation that we don't have an answer for. Just directionally, he knows he could guide you from our house to his dad's house.
Yeah.
He could get from like this house. I think he can make it up to Culver's ice cream.
He can go to Culver's.
Oh boy,
He knows where Culver's is because Culver's has malt. He loves malt, extra malt. Every time, extra malt.
So he knows how to get to the ice cream
How far away
place
does his
and the
dad live?
dad's.
Clarksville. His dad lives up by Clarksville.
So he could guide someone all the way to Clarksville.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Interesting.
So a pretty keen sense of direction, at least with certain things.
Familiar routes.
Yes.
Familiar routes.
Familiar routes.
I mean, if I took him another route going
He
this way,
takes
he would
it.
not know it.
He goes up there so often that he knows how to get to his daddy's. We know that.
His dad works with him as far as, well, we're going this way, we're going that way, and keeps the same thing, and it works out. So.
Let's talk too, because earlier, Chris, you and I were talking, and you were saying that there are a lot of people who are harassing both of you. What, if any of that, do you want to address? What do you want to say?
8 days in, everybody. 8 days.
Just that
Interesting.
you don't know. And I don't wish you to ever know.
I would say it like this. Everybody has an opinion. it's perfectly okay to have that opinion. But you're not in this situation. You don't quite understand. I wish people would step back, take a different wide open view, and not assume what they know. It's just better to stick to the facts. If they have questions, all they have to do is ask.
And what are those? What are the facts?
I pray genuinely that no one ever goes through this.
Just be kind to people. I mean, that's
Just be
so
kind. But we don't think you all been kind.
There are some people who have been talking because
To
I know
your
this
kid.
is part of the harassment. Is there anything you want to address about this child custody situation? The previous.
So I have a current case that is ongoing in another state. We've requested that case to be sealed because there are some individuals who have taken upon themselves to put stuff out there that they don't quite know, which all they have to do is ask. I'll tell you.
But that's your version.
But because of that, it has nothing to do with our son. It has nothing to do with the situation.
Does it or does it not?
I just people would respect that and keep an open mind. It's totally different.
If Sebastian is able to watch this, and maybe he's watching this as it airs, and if he is, what do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
Oh gosh, that we love you so much, and we want you to come home, and you're not in trouble.
You're not in trouble, but yet he was good that weekend.
I guarantee you he is loved. And trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home.
Who would throw that out
From
there?
every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community. But there's no malice, that we just want our boy home. Bad.
No malice. So you're saying what? You're not mad at somebody for taking your child? If he was abducted.
I know it's daddies too,
Stay woke.
but I feel like there's always that extra special bond. Can you walk us through what you're thinking right now?
I just want my baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's at.
Eyes closed, rocking.
Let's talk about the community because I want you all to know. Even my church body. I mean, we're all praying. We're all praying for his safe return quickly. What do you all want to say to the community?
With everything from the bottom of our hearts. I would not have imagined how far this has gotten, but there's no way to repay gratitude, the love that we have felt from the community, the prayers. But thank you.
But
From the
don't
bottom of
stop
our hearts.
looking.
Yeah, please.
My son is somewhere.
Don't stop looking. But these two have never looked.
Say no until he's home.
Very interesting.
So
Or is this expected?
let's hit on the search itself.
Same with the
Because
whales.
we know thousands of miles have basically been traced and retraced. We've got hundreds. We've got volunteers. We've got law enforcement from within the state, outside of the state. I mean, do you feel like they're doing as much as they can? I mean, you all have been right there in the front seat, seeing everything that's underway.
As far as I know, they're doing everything. Anything and everything has been an option. They have brought in assets and resources from various counties, potentially other states. I mean, I don't know how much more they could do, but we're grateful for everything they have done.
They're amazing, but they still haven't brought my baby back.
They will.
He's out there somewhere. So it's one day at a time, getting through this and bringing him home. What
Hey,
is the
Pam.
reaction to the fact that somehow his image, he hasn't been captured on any video anywhere?
I know that it was very dark that night. I mean, it gets dark around here at night in general, but so far we haven't found him on any camera footage to prove where he
Yes, I'm
went
fine,
or
sweetie.
where he's gone. I know that they're looking, and I'm asking everybody and anybody that has cameras, trail
Thanks for
cams,
asking.
stores, to check, even from before he went missing, just to see if there's anything at all.
And I understand there was a request for video, any sort of footage of Sebastian from earlier in the day on Sunday before he disappeared.
That I don't believe we can comment on right now. That is not something that I believe we're privy to at this point with law enforcement. That is something I would definitely direct back to them. But I mean, there's all kinds of requests out there. There's thousands of hours of video that they're combing, and we're just hoping they'll find something.
And I know this is so sensitive. What do you say to people
Where was the request coming from?
inevitably end up pointing their finger back at you? We were talking earlier, and I mean, are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that Mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across the board. We have anything that they've wanted, we have provided. So cooperation is there.
What do you want to say
That's not what she asked you.
to our viewers? Anybody who's watching, we've got a lot of folks in this community and in other counties just throughout the state as well. What do you want to say to them?
Help spread the word, keep searching, and thank you. And just, if you think you see him, call him in.
Thank all the viewers, everybody that's helped from across the board. I mean, everybody has been tremendous.
Call his name.
Yeah.
He'll answer, and if he doesn't answer, he'll look, even if he's not being verbal at the moment, because he can talk, but sometimes he don't talk. Call his name. Tell him to stay put.
He could be on the move, so keep checking your properties.
Yes. Like, the search is never over until he comes home.
Without food or water
He's so smart.
and shoes.
But thank you for everything that everybody has done, has volunteered, the continuous efforts. I mean, it's, like I said, I've never seen something to this magnitude before.
Our community is amazing.
We're all praying, hoping, and searching for Sebastian's safe return for that day. Thank you both for talking with me.
Okay. So, here, let me see if they got anything else. 22. Anything else she wants to say? She's done. All right, everybody. I bring this content to you because it's what stuck out in my mind. That this case reminds me of the Summer Wells case. You have a male that's living in the house with the child or children, reporting the child missing, but he was not allegedly there. No verification that he saw or witnessed anything. You have this man supposed to have been in Memphis, but that has not been verified. In the Wells case, this man was 30, 40 minutes away. That has not been verified in the Wells case. Here, you have a little bit of information that sticks out to you, such as you're not in trouble. Well, why would he be in trouble? You just told us you had a good weekend. See, sometimes the wording tells you more about what's really going on that they're not revealing. It was really a good weekend. But one could say, well, that's no big deal. She's just saying, okay, we had a good weekend. Nothing was out of the ordinary. Nothing was suspect. Nobody argued, nothing. And you hear this lady asking, any type of malfunction? No. Does everybody get along? Yes. Father, they get along with the father. Chris said he talked to him a lot, daily or whatever, but yet now you all don't speak. So what happened from this interview up until what has transpired in the past 2 weeks of you all not speaking? He's now telling people how he actually feels about you all and your behavior in raising his child, allegations of sexual assault by 2 different individuals, claiming that you are neglectful, Miss Katie Proudfoot. You all knew better than to have a felon around their child that was a sexual assaulter. Just a lot to digest in just a couple of weeks. At the end of this interview, you tell people to search, but yet you've never searched. There's been a vigil here recently. You're out of town. You left out of town while people are searching for your child. On foot, diving in waters, ponds, bodies of lakes, bodies of water. And you're not here to assist in any way. And I believe when you found out that the Cajun Navy was coming, you knew to leave the premises because you didn't want to have to bump into these people. You didn't want anybody coming by, knocking on the door, asking you for anything because you had already checked out of dealing with Sebastian Rogers. It's obvious. Then there's conversations that you said something out of the way to the father about how it looks that he's out here and they're not, and we're not. Well, that's a choice. You don't want to search for your own child. That's a choice. You're basically telling us how you feel about your child without just saying, I didn't give a F about him, didn't want him around for whatever reason. You're telling us that, and you don't get that. 8 days in, this interview was made from the child disappearing, and you're worried about social media and what people are saying. Something also about requesting footage. What request is that? Because I don't really understand your answer to her, to this reporter. Who was law enforcement requesting footage of the boy child? From you all? The neighbors? The restaurants? Well, allegedly Seth has seen footage of the child at the restaurant, and it's just he and the mother. Nobody else, no other children, not Chris, not Pookie, no aunties, no uncles, nobody. So we don't even have verification that the child made it home, okay? That's the same thing with Summer Wells. Do you see how eerily similar both stories are, cases? She goes out and get a niece, Mrs. Proudfoot, to hang with them that day, but the niece is not at the restaurant, allegedly. Or she went, I don't know. Maybe her mother ate with them and they left in her own car. I don't know. Because when I start hearing different versions on different networks, I can't believe anything that you've said originally, which would be this interview here. This is the original interview. And you've told different versions since this interview. So we're going out, hanging out with different people, but we don't know that the child made it home. So the niece to me is our boy H. Verification. Somebody could say, yeah, I saw him. He was happy. He was this. He was doing this. Boy H. Oh, yeah, I saw the kid. We went here. We went there. Went to the store. Went here. Went to the pond. Went here. Very similar. Different versions about Summer Wells, how she left the house. She wouldn't wander off because she knows better. She knows the situation of the land and what's out there. You know, coyotes, snakes, bears, such as the mother, blah, blah, blah. This child, he's not a wanderer, but he likes to run. She liked to play outside. But as I told people, if she was outside playing with a ball or something, Summer, she could easily roll down a hill, tumble down a hill trying to chase a ball, chase a cat, chase a dog. Because you really can't say what a child would and would not do. We're just judging the story from how it sounds and how it looks. But we can't really say what a child would and would not do. And I think we've learned with abductions and certain situations, children did exactly opposite of what their parents thought they would do. As far as going with strangers. Too many similarities. Getting an alibi. Father calling in a report. Stepfather calling in a report. Child leaving with just clothes on, no shoes, no phone. This child allegedly was outside with no shoes on. But that didn't make any sense because at first she was in the house, Summer Wells. So how you go from walking her over to the house, she went downstairs to play, to now she's outside with no shoes on? Eerily similar. Now everything is playing out on social media, YouTube. It's very ugly between the Proudfoots and Mr. Rogers. He said and she said. Allegations from Nina Gomez, ex-wife, against Mr. Proudfoot. How he treated her while she had her children and then when she had a baby by him. Custody battle. You hear him mentioning that here. Very interesting. I thought that was interesting as well. 8 days in, you're telling her people are searching through things they don't know anything about. He asked to have it sealed. You wanted it sealed because you didn't want the truth to get out. You don't want nobody finding out who the mother is to go find her. But instead, she found YouTube on her own, did she not? That's what you were afraid of. You did not want that lady talking or any other people talking about what was going on with you and that baby, Faith. But it's out now. You're entitled to believe Miss Gomez or not. Will anybody else come out and speak pertaining to their relationships with Mr. Proudfoot? Any other women, men, anybody else he's dated? Same thing with her, Katie, who she's dated, liked. I'd like to hear from somebody that's trustworthy that can tell us the truth about both parties and also Mr. Seth Rogers. Because right now, it's just a lot of venom throwing back and forth between all three. And the thing that's so disturbing is that here in this interview, Chris portrays everybody as friendly, talked a lot, but yet now none of you all are speaking. You're worried about how it looks, him being out here looking for his child. Well, he's supposed to be looking for his child. Well, let's be truthful. The average person can't even just quit their job, especially if they have bills. They have bills to pay. They have children to take care of. But he has taken off from his job. I don't know the arrangement he has with his job. We also hear that Katie has taken off from her job or left. But the average person cannot just remove themselves from their job. East Tennessee, a little girl missing in the holler. West Tennessee, a 15-year-old missing from rural area. Really similar. Phone calls made to a 911 dispatch, and the fathers are nowhere around, allegedly, with the child. Wasn't with the child. But what if we find out that even in the Summer Wells case, the father was there all along, and this was a plan to get rid of a little girl? Same thing with this case here. The father was around, and he helped the mother get rid of a 15-year-old. Because you have to admit, this is very peculiar. But we also now hearing a similar case scenario in the DeSoto case. Mother, boyfriend with a little girl, then now it's just the boyfriend with the little girl. This is expected. People change their versions because you change your version according to what law enforcement has against you or to show that what you have said is not the truth. Exactly. Could have called on three-way. Very good point. And you heard him make all those excuses about being dispatched to this county, to this county, to this county because of where they live. Well, seems like to me she would know all those things. Would she not? She's never called 911 since living in Hendersonville for anything. There are a lot of things I'd like to know about these people, the parents. Who were they before they met one another? We're hearing that all were in the military. How were they entering the military? How did they navigate in the military? And how did they end up in these crazy predicaments that they've all gotten themselves in? I'd like to know that. Hello, everybody. We're going to take a change of venue here, and we're going to hear from the Wells, and we're going to compare the two. Thank you so much for joining me. 1 second, everybody. Okay. Just doing a little navigating. Hope you all are well. Please check out my earlier live. Took me a while to get it started, but 2-part live pertaining to a Mr. Osborne. He's been linked to sexual assault and two shootings of 2 people in the house, but the woman who's found dead, she filed a report against him that he sexually assaulted her the day before. He's also linked to another woman's death back in 2022. He's in custody. And also I brought you Dejon Anderson. She went to court last week for her son who was found in a suitcase in Indiana. We talked about that. And also a very disturbing case out of Texas of a dirty anesthesiologist who was poking holes in bags of IVs. That's the last live. Okay, let's see if I can get this started up here.
Watch Summer. I'll be back.
1 second, everybody. Let me restart this. We're going to now compare the Wells case to the Proudfoots. One second. Got a lot to... Hold on. If I can maneuver.
I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from... I feel in my heart that I know she didn't want away from this property by herself or off this yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here. Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay, and I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back. And within 2 minutes I came back, and I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone. I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes and even the coyotes that are around here. Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
Just go to the FBI, the police, and clear it up. I mean, I don't know, it seems kind of elusive.
It's really strange that I've never seen this truck, and I've never heard of it until just recently. But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. And if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen. She was a tomboy. I shaved my head. She wanted to have her head shaved like me and the boys did.
She tried to shave her head
She tried
in
to
the
shave her
back
head
and make it, I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control, so we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad, and but it didn't bother her.
See how they switched that up? First it was her hair was already shaved.
I knew
Candace.
right away that she was abducted. You know, I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, I forget the word.
investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But I'm sorry that they had to spend so many man hours in these woods and everything. I've seen them limping and everything else, and I feel for them. But I just wish there was a way that neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house, in the eastern United States or whatever.
Of course not.
I wish there was a way.
Donald.
Just thankful for the person or persons that's doing that, out of love, trying to get information and trying to get her found. And we thank them from the bottom of our
It
hearts.
means a lot.
And we thank everybody who's trying so hard and praying so hard. And she's an awesome young lady, and we just want her back. But, there's always going to be haters, and it's always going to be that way in this world. And we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. And that's the kind of people we try to relate with and socialize with. So we don't know anything about, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. I mean, because we just try to be around good people. I mean, and we do have good people in this area. We found out since this has all happened. We got some real good neighbors and good folks everywhere. But
The most important thing is to bring Summer home safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have.
Which is
we never
what?
went without. Thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. He's always provided for us and has worked as much as he could.
But look how you live.
And can. He still is.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around.
Treat her like that. What was that, Candace?
She loves to dance.
Wow.
She would always want me. She says, "Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl." And she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl till my arm got
Tell on yourself.
tired. I put out there that one of Summer's favorite songs was Godzilla, and they say, and they're jumping all over me about past tense was, well, I'm sorry about that. It's just.
She also liked the song by New Breed, My House. She sung that a lot of times when I play it on the TV. She loved to dance.
She liked to think of herself as a princess, and and all that, like all young girls do. And,
she loved Frozen. She loved to be that Elsa.
A lot of past tense, yes. Doped up on the live.
She really loved to be in church because she felt a lot of love there. And I think you can't explain what that love is, but you feel it and you know it, when you're young. And she felt that there, and she loved everybody in that church. Or she loved everybody in that church. I should rephrase that because they'll tear that apart as past tense, and I apologize again for that. I hope she gets to come home, and I hope she gets to be with our church family again.
Our best friend in that church was Robin. She loved her to death.
Yeah, she looked up to women that were
into that church. She went looking for Robin. That was her favorite person.
Any woman that was professional, that was
pretty,
yeah,
beautiful.
She looked up to those kind of women. She, they were the word I'm looking for. I can't think of it, but she looked up to them.
Those kind of women.
Run for her money every day.
Wow.
She'd give them a run for her money, and there was times, we'd be, that our boys like, don't do this, don't do that. And next thing you know, a stick would come up and just whop them, and be like, Summer, don't do that.
Summer was the boss of the family.
She typical girl.
When they get out of line, she'd put them in line.
She'd do her best.
She loved to play in the mud and the water and swing on her swing and enjoy dirt.
When I run the lawnmower around, she would run behind me. When the boys run their bikes around, she, as fast as that little bike could go, she would be behind them running and keeping up with them, no problem. She loved to run. She just loved to run, and she could pull herself up on that swing, her full body weight with her two hands, and she could do that. None of the other boys could do that, but she can.
Was she in school yet?
No, she's going this year.
This was supposed to be her first year.
She's been. We did all the what?
Jackie.
I took care of everything.
Yeah.
I had her already took them all of her shots and registered in the school for ready for this year.
I just never expected for anyone to get hold of my heart like she has, because I try to guard my heart as much as I can, but she holds my heart in her little hands. I love her with all my heart. I'd do anything to have her back. If there's any way you can find it in your heart to please
Very high.
release her somehow. I don't know how you might do that. I mean, you're probably scared of going to prison for the rest of your life and everything else, I'm sure. But please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go, and where we can get her back. And just please have mercy on her, and and us, and her brothers. And she's such a loving, good spirit. Please don't hurt her. Please let her come home. Yeah, my biggest fear is, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? Go get Summer now." And that's happened over and over again. And we'd come out and she would always be close by, but we was always coming up. She had to be outside. She was an outdoor person. And she
Loved to be outside.
Yes. Dungeon in the basement.
I'm so afraid that she's locked away. She's such a loving heart and everything. And
Throw the boys in there.
I'm afraid that she won't be able to, locked away where she can't be outside or play with a puppy or anything. Love nature, and that's my greatest fear, that she's not able to do any of these things anymore, or that she could possibly, I don't want to think she's dead, but it's a possibility. I don't want to address all the negativity.
Look how she's looking. You said that?
Because it's so easy to get, lost in that negativity and stuff, and it's just not worth it. So I'm just...
You hear, Candace? We're trying to find our daughter.
The good things you say and your prayers. That's awesome.
When my sister went missing, I was in between Arkansas and Tennessee. I don't know all of what happened or what did happen, but I hope that they find her too and bring her home safely too.
Yeah, there's nothing. She disappeared without a trace. They haven't found anything, haven't found a body, nothing. And when you see cases like that, that's why I lose hope on Summer. I want to keep hope, but sometimes I lose hope. And I think, well, maybe we won't never see her again, so I start thinking in past tense. Sorry. But I'm trying to keep hope up. I'm trying to keep my prayers up and all that.
All right, everybody. And all that. I think that's all that is to that. A lot of past tense by Mr. Wells, and people can make that mistake. Of course, because I've seen it done when I went to a vigil for a young lady. Her friend got up and used past tense, and everybody told her, no, don't do that, don't do that. But he did do it a lot. The fact that he mentioned about the people searching, how they looked, they were limping, this and that. Most people felt that was not a good comment. Well, we know they're going to be tired because they're out in the heat. Summertime when the child went missing. So naturally, they would be tired. They're in the heat, high grass, walking through God knows what, trying to find a child. Of course they would be tired. And you all never went up to them and thanked them, never stood by to see what they found when they came back from their searches. You had an issue with the one guy who was searching, and then you two finally met up, went to dinner and talked, squashed everything But it's your attitude is negative, Mr. Don Wells. Your attitude was very negative because I think this interview happened maybe 2 weeks or so after the child went missing. So it wasn't right away when she went missing that they did this interview. But the point is, yeah, you're negative. You should have had hope. And you see how Candace looked at him, you know, when he started talking about the child not being alive. She said, oh, we're trying to look for our daughter. Although she's the one that's glazed over, dazed over, looking like she's, high on drugs. But she perked up once he made a mention of her not being alive. You hear him mentioning about what they could be doing to the child. Well, we don't know what you all were doing to her. So let's believe she was in a dungeon. You thought she might be in a dungeon? Well, that cold basement, no windows, no girly, bedroom attire, bedroom set, little girl toys, easy bake ovens, and kitchenettes that you see in little girls' rooms. She didn't have a little girl's room. You all tripped yourself up too, talking about her hair. Candace starts out talking about why she shaved her head. I'm a tomboy, and my boys, their hair cut short. That's how she started it out. But then, Mr. Wells chimes in about her messing with her hair with scissors, blah, blah, blah. So they went on and cut it all the way down. Well, why would a child be messing with scissors anyway? Why would you have scissors around for a child to cut their hair or hair clippers, however it was? It would have believed that version. But see how I switched up? It started out, Candace had short hair, boys had short hair. I'm a tomboy, blah, blah, blah. But then it switched to she had been messing with her hair, so we cut it off short so she could look like her mom. Well, which is it? You already had the short hair, Candace? Because I think you already had short hair before she had all these different wild-ass hairdos. And I don't understand why anybody wouldn't keep scissors and hair clippers put up so none of the children could get into them, whether it's a boy or a girl. Some of us thought perhaps the child's haircut was out of spite the little girl. We also heard there was a case of cooties in the house. Maybe the girl had head lice. But then when we see Don give an interview with the boy child, the oldest boy, he had a nice lock of hair on his scalp. So then I started thinking, well, I don't think it was cooties because his hair looks fuller than what Summer had at the time of her disappearance. So you don't know what to think. But the one thing you can see here is that, yes, both are monotone in talking about the disappearance of their child. You also saw that with Katie Proudfoot when she was talking about her boy child. Everything is eyes closed, looking down at the ground. Chris is the only one talking, laughing, and jovial while discussing the little boy, his personality, how everybody got along, everything was going great. Well, we already know now that things weren't great. So the lies you spun in that first interview, Mr. Proudfoot, Katie, they're all lies. Now maybe you and Seth weren't fighting daily about anything, custody, whatever, but something wasn't right. And now that we're hearing his commentary to Court TV that he believes you all were neglectful in raising his son, too many incidents of him being touched inappropriately under your care. He didn't like the way you were discussing his child on podcasts, making fun of his pictures and how he looked, how he danced. His feelings, they are hurt. They are hurt. And I think he probably knows more. He just hasn't told us. I always felt like Seth wasn't telling the whole truth about what was going on with these people and his son, because he would be asked questions, but he would kind of also dance around the questions. Now he's just come out full throttle, cursing at Chris, telling him he didn't give an F about what he thinks and what he has to say on a live broadcast, telling us all these things about sexual improprieties done toward his child by another child and an adult. Katie responding on social media, but I think she may have taken that post down because I went back to look, I didn't see it. And then Chris is jumping on other people's channels to combat what was said by Seth, which defeats the purpose of what Katie said. I'm not going to go back and forth with you, Seth, but yeah, your husband is. The only thing you all are doing is just showing us none of these children had any business in your custody. That's what I'm saying with the Proudfoots and also the Wells. And as most of you know who follow the story, this coming June will mark 3 years that the child went missing out of Rogersville, Tennessee, and there has been no new updates pertaining to the disappearance or any suspects, okay? Nothing. You also hear the same thing with these people, with this case with Sebastian. Oh, we've cooperated, we've done everything they asked us to do. Well, that's not what she asked you. The reporter said, have you been cleared? You providing information to law enforcement, whatever that may be, that does not mean you have been cleared. And I got a feeling eventually you're going to stop talking to law enforcement, TBI, CIA, and you're going to lawyer up. And as I've brought you stats so many times in the stories I discuss on this network about missing children, deceased children, 450 children are murdered each year by their parents. Filicide. I brought you stats the other day, 570 disabled children murdered in the past 5 years by their caretakers. Not the Illuminati, not the neighbor, not the boogeyman, not Ronald McDonald, but their parents. And these cases are all the same. When the children go missing, when you see an extreme case of abuse, neglect, you start hearing the number one situation pertaining to DHS. Oh, yes, somebody called, or I called, or nothing was done, and they left the child there. Because we get this in both cases. Allegedly, DHS was involved in the Summer Wells case, but nobody has verified that. Then over here in West Tennessee, we hear DHS was called because Chris spanked the child with a belt. He said only once. Some people believe that's a lie. My thing is this. When I see you telling little lies, which really are big lies, in a news interview, I can't believe anything that you said. So therefore, I don't know what is the truth. And I do believe the Wells lied in their interview about the disappearance of Summer Wells, just like I believe these two have lied about Sebastian Rogers. I got a feeling that both males were present when their children went missing. That it was an elaborate scheme to rid themselves of a child. Two parents plotted to get rid of Summer. Two parents plotted to get rid of Sebastian. And let's say that something happened terrible with the girl child, with Candace, an accident or deliberate or a selling of a child, I still feel like Donald Wells knows something if he's not the proprietor or the co-conspirator. He knows something. And in my eyes, that's bad enough. This is horrific. To be talking about two cases out of Tennessee. One's almost 3 years old, and the other one is at 6 weeks, and you have nothing. Nothing has been mentioned about surveillance pertaining to Summer Wells, that she made it to her house, that they have CCTV footage outside their house, inside their house. You hear her talking about, we've never wanted for anything. My husband's a good provider. That's not true. Because we looked at your house and saw how you all lived in there. How is that a good provider? He was willed that house by his mother. And that's the best he could do with the house. And he works with, carpentry and so on and so forth. He doesn't know how to put siding on a house, build stairs, put doors up, drywall, so everybody can have their own separate quarters. Children, boys, their rooms facing a front doors. They can't even change their clothes in private. How's that a good life for kids? I don't believe the children were eating properly. I don't think they were really engaging with other children in the neighborhood and in the town. All you hear is church. And naturally, there's nothing wrong with church. Church is a good foundation for people. But these children didn't have a good foundation with their parents. So the only foundation they were getting was sitting in church on Saturdays, maybe once through the week, and that's it. Coming back to parents who got drunk, high, fight, fuss, dialing 911 on each other. So now let's go over to West Tennessee. Did the Proudfoots argue with each other to where 911 was ever called? Curious. What else are we going to hear about this boy child? Because there are some things in their commentary in this interview that's disturbing, questionable. He likes to run. So then we wonder, well, did he run off? She asked him about CCTV footage, a request for videos or something, but he doesn't elaborate. I can't say. So you don't even know what he's talking about. I don't even know what she was talking about, the reporter. So was she asking, did the police request video from them? Because we first hear they didn't have video surveillance. But now he goes on to somebody else's podcast to say, Katie says, oh, we could watch him. He was stealing food, blah, blah, blah. I'm ear hustling from somebody else's network, this information. So Proudfoots, do you have surveillance or not? Because that really doesn't make any sense for your wife to be working for a security company a few weeks ago, and you all had no security, but now you lie and say you didn't have it to Nancy Grace, and now you take it back and say, oh yeah, we watched him in the house. We could see where he was going. So is that the reason why, Katie, you told the news he walked out? Because you did watch him walk out, or you're just making it up? You have inside cameras, but you know he didn't walk out. Just making that up. Because it really doesn't make any sense to have cameras inside and don't have cameras outside. So do these people have surveillance cameras inside and outside? If so, will we find out they were disabled? Security system was disabled. Will we find out that Mr. Proudfoot was in Hendersonville on Sunday, February 25th? Somebody has claimed on another network they thought they saw the boy in a truck at a truck stop on somebody else's network. Don't know if that's true, because, you know, people will come forward and make up stuff just to get them 5 minutes of attention. You don't know what's the truth. But I did mention in my commentary a week or so ago, could it be that the boy was alive, left the house alive, and the parent took him off to rid him? Because I said that would be easier to do. And I said that about Katie. Did Katie take the boy child after dinner and unalived him somewhere and dumped him off? Or met up with the husband, handed the boy child off, and he took the child off and unalived him and discarded him somewhere in the state of Tennessee or outside of the state? I don't know. But I don't think the child is alive. And 3 years approaching for the disappearance of Summer Wells, I don't think she's alive either. Because when you start talking about human trafficking, you have to use common sense per age of the victim. No way a child of her age would be able to continue to be alive after being human trafficked. I think you know what I mean. She's small. She's a baby. And you know the things that grown-ups do with each other in a sexual manner. You can't think the child will still be alive at this point if she was trafficked for sexual purposes. As far as this boy being sex trafficked, no, I would never think that. I don't think nobody followed them home, broke in their house. Hell no. Was there an altercation? He ran out for his safety, got scared, hid somewhere, died, out in the elements? Could be. Or did one of these parents get tired of him, offed him and asked the other one to come help? Or it was a deliberate plot by both to rid themselves of an autistic child. Didn't want to give the child over to the father because they would have to pay child support. But then you'd have to talk to Seth about that to know if he expected child support in order to come up with the theory that's why they offed him. Could it just be they were tired of dealing with him? Had nothing to do with money. Had nothing to do with if she drew a check for him or not. I'm just tired of dealing with him. I don't want to be bothered anymore. Because then you got to ask yourself, is she still getting any funds for the little boy if indeed he draws a SSI check for his disability? Does the Social Security Board still pay? Okay. Do they still pay even with your child missing? I don't know. So if they rid themselves of the boy child, what would be the reason? Spike Seth Rogers didn't want to give him up, wanted to give him up, still wanted to keep the money, Social Security. Or just tired of him tired of dealing with him, wanting to be free, or tired of dealing with him and make room for Faith, Christopher's daughter. But as I've told you before in my commentary, after listening to Nina Gomez's story of her life with him, I do not believe he cares for Faith. She was just a pawn in a dirty game between he and Nina. And things wouldn't have worked out with Faith at that house. Because as I've told people about favoritism, in the West case, it's a prime example. No way in your mind you could think a person would treat another child better and they've knocked off 2 children. You think they love their own because they didn't kill their own. Well, it doesn't work like that. Murder is murder. A deviant mind is a deviant mind. If you can kill one, you can kill another. Same thing with the West case. The Wells case. You could say, well, they didn't like Summer, blah, blah, blah. She liked the boys better, woo, woo, woo. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Still, if you were to kill your child, you could kill again. And we don't really know what happened with the Wells and Summer. We've not had any verification that he essayed the little girl. You know, a lot of people like to ride that train of, well, she was about to go to school, da-da-da-da-da. Well, who's to say she hadn't already seen a doctor? So you don't know, because they haven't told us that. And DHS is never going to tell you that they went to the house for any type of report. But one thing we have learned with missing children and deceased children, that usually DHS has been involved. They just give the people a slap on the wrist and continue letting them take care of their child, which that's probably what happened with Summer. DHS was called. They took their time about coming out or didn't come out. DHS involved in the case of Sebastian, but as you see, he was still in the custody of these people. So in the end, it doesn't really matter that DHS was called in any of the cases, because now you're talking about 2 missing children who had contact and possible contact with a social worker. And that's usually what you find out in these type of cases. The DHS was called. DHS did a home study. DHS allowed the children to remain. I'd like to do another video on who Katie is, because when I go back in the book of life and look at her pictures, Facebook pictures, I'm wondering who she is as a person. Curious to who she is. Same with Mr. Seth, same with Christopher. How did all these people come to meet up, paths cross? Seth, what did you see in Katie? Katie, what did you see in Seth? Katie, what did you see in Chris? And Chris, what did you see in Katie? And what did the other women see in Christopher, Proudfoot? A lot of nonsense on the ground, people searching, divers looking for the boy child, nothing. Glasses found but not belonging to Sebastian Rogers. Intimidation of people making content pertaining to the story, flyers being taken down allegedly. Why would you do that? Why would you take flyers down of a missing child? That makes no sense. Now, if somebody put it up on your private property and you had a problem with that, okay. I can see you taking the flyers down. But a public poll, how's that bothering you? It shouldn't. Because it could be your child, your niece, your nephew, your neighbor's friend, a neighbor's child. But one thing we've learned about true crime, everybody does not navigate the same as far as having empathy for the victim. This is why you know a lot of people are not genuine in one, talking about true crime, covering true crime, helping with true crime. Most people don't really care. It's just another story of somebody missing. Just a terrible, terrible, terrible situation. Hey, everybody. I'm going to do a little rearranging here. Got a little searching. Hold on 1 second. Hope you all are well. See, I had her name up here. Let's see. Wanted to do something. Hold on 1 second. Trying to maneuver here. There we go. See if she comes back up. Hey, everybody. Hope you well. Yes, it's very sad. It's a very sad story. Katie Proudfoot, who are you? That's the last post, March 23rd. Maybe there's something else after that. I'm not her friend, so I don't know. But after that should have been that post of her going off on Seth. So it's just a lot of her showing her kid. Who is this lady here? She's sitting with a small child, assumingly Sebastian Rogers. Possibly was in the military. What happened to this person here? Is Christopher violent with Katie Proudfoot? Was she a good mother when she was raising this baby boy, blonde-haired baby here? I'm assuming she was probably with the father, Seth, at the time this photo was taken, not sure. Who is Katie Proudfoot? Was she a good mother raising her son? Did something go terribly wrong during childbirth, after childbirth? Marriage didn't work out? What really happened between she and Seth? You have to ask all these questions because that's how you get to the root of the problem. Because as I always tell people, you have to start at the beginning of the story. And the beginning of the story is not Sunday the 25th of February. It's what's obvious because allegedly he was out and about with his mother. But you have to go back in the book of life between the mother and Seth, how they navigated, how they met, what drew them to one another, what their life was like raising this baby boy, for them to not be together anymore. See all photos. That's it, right there. Military outfit, I believe, with her son when he was a itty bitty spider with the Spider-Man shirt on. Cute little boy. 4 years ago, she had the blonde curly hair. So she looks like she was smaller. You can see her face is smaller. Here she is with a tube top on. Thinner, younger Katie Proudfoot. Katie Proudfoot, when you look at this picture, are you that same girl in that photograph? What changed in your life to lead you to be divorced, bringing forward allegations against your husband that he was a boy child? Is that true? Or you lied? Who was this young lady here, starting off in the world? When you look back on your life, Katie Proudfoot, do you wish you could go back and change some things? Do you wish you ever met Seth? Do you wish you ever met Christopher? And do you wish you ever had a boy child? Because this is how you get to the root of who all these people are if you go back in the book of life to who they are, how they came to be. Good picture of her. Looks totally different than the Katie you see now. Hair is blonde. She's smaller. Sebastian was much smaller in his picture as well, younger, don't know, about 4 years. 2020, it says, February 27th, 2020. Different Katie, different Sebastian, of course, younger. So he'd have been about 10 or 11 in this photograph. Who is Katie Proudfoot? A lot to ask. Hey, everybody. Just searching through everything. He's got a new post. Eight hours ago. Talking about Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Well, what is that supposed to mean? Then this was 6 days ago. If Avengers was made in 90s, nothing about the boy child. March 31st. If you think God isn't listening to your prayers, listen to this. God often doesn't give us what we ask for directly, but instead provides opportunities for us to look towards and achieve our desires. Agree? I don't know. Very interesting. Everything but information about the baby. Stay woke. Motivational quotes. Let them create their own version of you. I'll send you a free guide on how to build a 1,000-a-month business, blah, 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 profile. Something on the 27th. It's been removed, probably by the content holder, original content holder. He likes a lot of motivational videos. It's March 26th. A lot of photos. Wow, wow, wow. Who is Christopher Proudfoot? Military man. Bad upbringing, strict upbringing. Was he spanked, whooped as a child by his father, stepfather? What drew him to Katie Proudfoot? What draws him to any woman that has children when he knows he doesn't like children? What regrets does Mr. Proudfoot have? Wish I never met this woman with this kid. Look at this mess I'm in now. Probably regrets meeting Nina Gomez as well. Don't you find it interesting? He doesn't strike you as somebody that wants to be with children because he doesn't have any more children. Stay woke, everybody. He has no more children, but yet he finds women with children. And now a whole child is missing. Pay attention. Whole kid is missing. Assuming that's baby Faith. And look how that ended up. Lady being here with no friends or family down here in Tennessee, trying to run and get out of this place to get back to New Mexico from a violent man and wacko family members. Obviously, he likes dogs. And usually people who navigate towards animals usually don't like humans very well. Not all, but some. I've heard people say that they like animals. I like animals better than humans. I guess so. This live stream is about the Proudfoots and the Whales, how they're eerily similar eerily similar to one another in reporting a child missing. Both men called to report a child missing, 911 dispatch call, yet neither one was allegedly present with the child when the child left, kidnapped, walked out, wandered off, or let's say unalived. What is the truth? This summer will mark 3 years that Summer Wells went missing out of the holler, allegedly. No new updates. Sebastian Rogers has been missing out of West Tennessee 6 weeks. No new information, no updates pertaining to his whereabouts or any suspects. Did his mother and stepfather hurt, harm him, dispose of him? What is the truth? The Wells. Did Candace, Bly Wells, and Donald Wells hurt, harm their daughter, and discarded her? Feel free to go back to the beginning of this video to watch both interviews by the Proudfoots and the Wells and compare the similarities, and drop your comments below that video to give me your opinion. I will also put up a poll pertaining to the comparisons of both interviews and the parents' demeanor, and you will see similarities between Candace and Mrs. Proudfoot. They're both stoic, staring off into space, zombie-fied, La La Land. The males doing a lot of talking, but allegedly they weren't the ones with the children last. You don't find that strange? It's expectant of people who want to be in control. I think both men are eerily similar. They may not make the same kind of money, have the same type of education, but they're eerily similar. They've got bad track records with women, children, issues with DHS, custody, and they have found themselves with a whole baby missing, whole kid missing. You can't say in your mind that that's just happenstance. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $McAngie129 Cash App, stickers and chats, always welcome during the live stream. Thank you so much. This is live number 2. Please check out the earlier live. I will be back probably tomorrow with more stimulating content. Prayers for both children, Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers. Sadly, these cases are right here in Tennessee, where the Queen currently lives, and it's disturbing because your mind starts to wonder, where is a 5-year-old? Where is a 15-year-old? One thing I've learned about true crime when it comes to missing people, people don't look for something they intentionally lost. And when you see that they're not out searching, that's another thing. The Wells didn't search either for their girl child. It tells you everything you need to know. And we have learned that people do act weird, peculiar in a missing person's case, even when they're found deceased. Everybody doesn't grieve the same, but you have to admit, when a person won't even go out to search and the people are right there in their backyard searching, there's something wrong with that. There's something terribly wrong. And this woman and her husband are gone. The mother has taken off because she knows he's not coming back, Sebastian. And you can't say you're looking for him to come back and hope he comes back when you're not even there if he was to show up. How would he get in? Did you change the code? Put extra locks on the doors? Bet you got ADT now, or Brink Security or somebody. Stay woke, everybody. If the child showed up today, he would go into an empty house if he was able to get in. Now imagine that. Imagine that. And I think we don't have to ask about Summer Wells returning home, because there's nothing for her to return home to either. And no way the state would allow these people to keep her, because her brothers are currently in foster care. Prayers for the Wells children, prayers for justice for Summer Wells, and prayers for Sebastian Rogers if the truth is revealed to his whereabouts. I pray that the shenanigans will stop pertaining to the parents on social media. As I said, there's a lot of mudslinging at the moment. a lot of intimidation on the ground pertaining to searches. And this just goes to show you that somebody doesn't want the boy child found. And then you have to ask yourself, why? Why do you not want the boy child found? That leads me to believe there's foul play. Because when you start bothering people, harassing people, stalking people who are out looking for a child, whether they're really in it for the right reason, the point is, why are you taking down flyers? Why are you bothering the people searching if you care about Sebastian Rogers? Because you don't. And you're working for the entity that got him gone. Permanently gone. And that's my opinion. You all have a wonderful week. Please check my community board for said updates, breaking news, movie suggestions. You have been listening to The Vault XL.